What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha, and today we are giving a full recap of the Cooper Bridge Run 10K in addition to the travel vlog weekend of being in Charleston, South Carolina. So without further ado, I guess, before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're subscribed watching content. Thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Strava, all sorts of other updates and things like that. And I guess without further ado now, let's get into it. So yeah, there's a lot to go over. I haven't had a whole lot of sleep in the last 72 hours, but it is what it is. So let's kind of break this thing down. So the Cooper Bridge Run 10K. Why is this race special? Why did I do it? Let's go into the questions, I guess, that might be on your mind and things I've kind of asked myself at some point too. So this kind of falls into a much larger goal I've had for myself as a runner since at least 2020, because when I was locked down for a little while, I made a conscious effort that once this thing was like over and the lockdowns were done, that I would make it a habit to travel and have a destination race at least once a year for the rest of my life, as long as I could run or do any sort of sport like that. So in 2021, we had the opportunity to go to Florida and live there for a month. So I made I took the opportunity to race twice while I was in Florida in that case. And yeah, had a good time with those races. Won one of those races, took second place in one of the 10Ks there. So good time overall. In 2022, we made a conscious effort to go to Hot Chocolate in Houston, Texas, which was kind of accidental. I had a different race in mind, but I had, damaged my fibula to the point where I couldn't run during the Hot Chocolate Chicago. So I deferred to Houston, and I took third place overall during the 15K race there. So 2023 rolls around, and the Cooper Bridge Run 10K, a race I've been discussing with my coach for over a year now, because I was trying to do this last year and it just didn't, pan through appropriately. It finally happened, and some of the fun notes of this race is that this might be one of the biggest 10Ks in the country based on what I observed. There was at least between 25 to 30,000 people racing this particular race, and as we get there, I'll explain kind of the logistics and how all of that kind of panned out, and all of that jazz as well. So as I'm talking about this video, I completely forget to bring my race bib and the finisher medal to the actual video itself to show you guys what's going on. So I'll flash those again a little bit later. But yeah, those are kind of important, right? Kind of prove that I did the race. But anyway, so logistically, this is what happened. I flew from Chicago to Charleston on Wednesday night as a standby traveler because, that's what I do as an airline employee. And, the flight was easy. Got there at night, got to my hotel, ended up just really doing some sightseeing of Charleston by myself throughout the entire city, and I made a lot of friends with the majority of my Uber drivers, as most people probably do when they travel by themselves and don't have a rental car, because yeah, the Uber is relatively speaking cheaper than just renting a car for the day and doing your thing. So they gave me all the recommendations for places to eat, things to see, kind of just went through with those motions. Figured out my running routes as well, so I can do my daily runs and things like that. And at some point on Thursday, 48 hours before the race, I did a 10-mile overall run. So I did a 2 a day because I just wanted to see the city and just put in those miles. So I'll post some pictures of places I was eating at. One of them was called Hyman's Seafood, which was one of the popular destination spots in the city. And yeah, stuff was good. Everything was deep fried on the plate. My coach said don't eat anything deep fried, but definitely go to this place to eat before the race. So it's a catch-22. And yeah, it was kind of fun, I guess, like that. But yeah, nice hole-in-the-wall kind of place with really awesome deep-fried seafood. Loved it. Good stuff. Friday rolls around. I went to packet pickup. So we went to the convention center. That was in North Charleston. And, grabbed my packets, kind of saw the activity of what was going on. There was a lot of people. It was a huge line to get my packet, but it went through pretty smoothly. And yeah, picked up some stuff. I got a super mug somewhere downstairs. I got a poster that I'm trying to flatten out right now because I had it rolled up in my suitcase back home. And yeah, picked up my bib, of course. In this case, I was in the under 40-minute corral. So why is this important for this particular race? I'll get to it in a second, but they wanted you, the organizers, they wanted you to prove that you can run an under 40-minute 10K. So I had 4 races that I could choose from, just select 2 of them. One of them was I used my 2021 Florida 10K time, which was like 38:40. And then I used my 2022 Algonquin Founders Day 10K time, which was like 39 and like 01 maybe. And yeah, both of the times were accepted, and I got into this corral. And I'll tell you where it places in the rest of the corrals as well once we get to the race stuff. And yeah, from there I went to a second nice fat seafood place, because you know, when you're on the East Coast and you're by the Atlantic Ocean, yeah, eat seafood, of course. So I went to a place called Fleet Landing, which was like god tier. They had the most awesome seafood pasta I've ever had, and I'm trying to replicate it right now. And I have a recipe. I just need to buy the stuff and essentially attempt to make it. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on. It was like a 10 out of 10 seafood pasta. I think about it to this day as to how delicious it was. And the only other place that's had such an impact in terms of food in my life was Walt's Seafood in Sarasota, Florida, when we were living out there. We went to that place at least like 10 times because they had some of the best like broiled, grilled fish I've ever had. So great stuff there. Definitely recommend seafood from there if you like it. I have not had shrimp and grits. That was a huge, I guess, discussion point out there with a lot of people that, you know, that's like the iconic thing to eat in South Carolina. So yeah, I haven't had that, but it looks delicious. It sounds delicious. It just basically sounds like it would be like cornmeal that tastes like shrimp, I guess. But I don't know. It was just an option, just something that I was thinking about. And then, for, I guess, other miscellaneous notes for breakfasts, I had like French toast at my hotel. Overpriced, of course, but you know, it is what it is. You're on vacation. You're allowed to splurge on vacation. Remember, the calories you eat on vacation don't count. The money you spend on your vacation doesn't count. And the time you waste on your vacation doesn't count. Those are like my 3 rules. You know, you're out there to enjoy yourself. If you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself, just do it. Eat the costs later. Just don't go into credit card debt. That's all I'm saying. So only spend within your means, and then the next month lay low. So like this month of April, I'm going to just like financially lay low, eat some ramen, maybe some cat food. You know how it is. So anyways, it's race morning. The race kind of works like this. It's a point-to-point race from the, I guess I'm going to flip the perspective here for you guys. From the east coast of Charleston, you cross the bridge that goes into downtown Charleston, and you kind of find your way back down into the downtown Charleston area. And from there, this is kind of how it works. You can either drive yourself to the start line on the east coast of Charleston on, I think it's Mount Pleasant. Is that the town? I think it's called Mount Pleasant. And you can go to Mount Pleasant and, you know, get to the start line and whatnot, and you can always take a shuttle back to the start line to get to your car. Or there's shuttles at various regions of Charleston that will take you to the start line. So there's one in downtown Charleston. There was one near the convention center, near all of the hotels near the airport. And then there was another place, I think, on the west side of Charleston in another area. And I think I've got all the like the districts mixed up. I know there's the downtown. I know that there's Mount Pleasant, and then there's like one more. And like the, you know, they kind of all come from these areas, and they'll pick everyone up and kind of get you to the start line. And from the start line, if you have gear that you need to check in, you can check it in at these trucks called the sweat shuttles. And yeah, they just take it to the finish line via like some kind of moving truck or something. And at the end of the race, you can just pick up your stuff when you get there. And yeah, that process was really smooth at the very end of the race. So I was filming a lot of the stuff during the travel weekend, and the thought of filming the run itself was also on my mind, but I decided last minute not to do it. I figured just taking the experience as is. If I need to vlog this thing, I'll do it on better conditions, because again, I just wanted to feel the race for myself, experience it, and if there was footage or pictures or something along the way for the race, I would just take that and implement it into the vlog itself. So I checked all of that in. I took my shuttle from downtown Charleston to the race, checked my bags in, and there were so many people at the start line, I couldn't believe it. Like, there was corrals from, like, the letter, like, I don't know, at least R, all the way to, like, corral A. There was, like, porta potties everywhere as well for everyone, and they were, like, all packed. So there was at least, again, 25 to 30,000 people. So, like, the race definitely holds its reputation as one of the biggest 10Ks I've ever seen. And it gave me a weird sensation in my gut that I haven't experienced since 2015, which was the Rock and Roll Half Marathon. It gave me like these kind of race vibes where the race culture and running culture is like very much alive, and there was just a huge group of people in one place, and there was just something, I don't want to say magical, but there was just something nostalgic about it, being able to see so many runners in one place. And like the only times you really see those kinds of things are like, you know, the big name races, like, you know, the Chicago Marathon, any of the marathon majors, maybe a Shamrock Shuffle, even though I think there might be less people doing the Shamrock Shuffle than in years past. And yeah, it was just awesome seeing 30 to 25,000 people at the start line. And yeah, so this is where we get into the corral stuff, right? It works kind of like this. You know, you have your corral from like, I don't know, letter Z maybe, all the way to letter A. And then you have the under 45 group, you have the under 40 minute group, and then you have the elite corral. So if I'm in the under 40 group, this tells me that we're the second to greatest or fastest supposed corral to the elite corral, which was also a very insane thought to me because, again, it's like it's not really supposed to be like a validation thing, but it tells you that like for you to qualify as an under 40 minute 10K runner for this particular race, it has to be a big deal. There has to be like some sort of really massive caveat to it. And yeah, of course, it's the bridge. Like this bridge after the race, when I was looking it up, is about a 4% to 5% steep incline for at least a mile, which if you guys have ever done that in your life or have done this race at some point, your stomach turns inside out during that bridge segment, as I'll get to it in a minute. So the start line, of course, you know, nerves are high. The temperatures are pretty okay. If anything, it's really windy, which is going to play a factor as we get into the actual bridge climb itself. But, you know, the gun goes off. Everyone who's like a pandemic prodigy just shoots it. You know, they just sprint, you know, like a 4-10 mile or whatever they're trying to do, and then they start all kind of falling back. But there's like a group of us where I know that we're playing it kind of conservatively, where I think we run maybe a 6:17 or a 6:25 minute mile because we're just conserving energy for what is going to be the bridge climb. We all know it's coming, and I feel like the nerves already kind of kicking when it happens. And by the time we get to like mile 1.5, the bridge climb starts to, you know, begin. And it like takes, from your perspective, it takes like this slightly left turn and it goes up the bridge. And from there, it's just a mile of straight climbing. And man, when I say that, that may have been one of the most difficult 10K race moments of my life, I genuinely mean that. Climbing that bridge or running up that bridge at whatever pace I was doing, trying to hold the insides of my stomach together was almost next to impossible. And like there was like maybe 1 or 2 other people in my corral who were kind of falling apart as well, who turned it into like a run walk. I had to like turn it into a hard walk for about 10 to 15 seconds to regroup whatever was going on in my stomach, because I thought I was going to hurl halfway up the bridge, because we were running, you know, that 6:30 and then getting to like a 6:10 pace. And then as we hit the bridge, I must have completed that entire bridge ascent in like 7:30 pace, which is like the absolute worst thing I could have done in a 10K race if you didn't know that this climb was there, right? So that was just something crazy that happened. And then by the time we got to the very top of the bridge and we started our descent, my stomach finally calmed it down. So I was like, okay, it wasn't anything I ate the day before the race. It wasn't anything about sleep, even though those factors could have helped. It was nothing about those. It wasn't anything bad about my conditioning. It was just the fact that this incline on the bridge was so steep and we're going so fast on it for so long that your stomach and just your core is unable to hold, you know, your structure as you're going up that bridge. So the only real way to train for something like that is be good at like hill climbing, hill sprints, get over those, nauseating symptoms or sensations while you're running on the bridge. And then of course putting yourself in the condition to be able to run very fast up the bridge for long periods of time. So again, whether it is like having a stronger core, whether it's having stronger legs, having a stronger frame on your body, there's like a lot of things you could do to better prepare for that. But again, we get to the top of the bridge, super windy. It was crosswinds and headwind mix as we're going up the bridge, and then as we descend, same thing. except when we're descending, my stomach's back kind of in position, but the damage has already been done during the climb. It's very difficult to sustain a pace over 620. I might have fallen to like 625, 630 territory at some point during the run as well. But the rest of the run was like beautiful. It was like flat and like downhill mix for the most part, and of course by the time we get to the finish line, I'm not hurling anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm gonna like lose half of my guts, but I do finish in a whopping, take a guess, I finish in 41:09. So I told the race organizers, and I proved it to the race organization, that I could run a sub 40 10K, and I finished the race in 41 minutes. Which means if I were to do this race next time, I don't have the current qualifications to be in the sub 40 corral. As of right now, of course. But this was, overall one of the most humbling 10K races I've done to this point. Like, I thought maybe my training could have been a lot better this quarter. And, of course, there was a lot of things I missed out, whether it was, like, hill training, particular tempo training that was involved. Like, all the training that was written on my calendar looked good and looked correct. I just needed more follow through with it in order to get better results from it. And yeah, it just, that's the price I pay for walking into the race slightly underprepared, and I got humbled pretty good. But you know what? It is what it is. It's a learning experience. It was a stepping stone. It was a goal overall accomplished of doing a destination race outside of the state of Illinois, and I had a lot of fun with it overall. And of course from there, going home on a Saturday during standby during spring break is next to impossible, so I did not end up going home that Saturday evening. I actually just ended up staying one more night in the Charleston airport area hotels. And from there, like really early Sunday morning, I ended up basically flying home. And I didn't sleep the day of the race. I didn't sleep the night after the race. And I barely slept last night leading into the Monday work week, which I have work today, and I wrapped up work for the evening. And yeah, I'm just looking for a way to get my running chops back, get some sleep, and then begin my next running adventure, which I think, I'm not going to announce it yet. I think I know what I'm going to do next race-wise. It'll be in Chicago, but it'll be like maybe a month and a half from now. We'll see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, that's the Cooper Bridge Run 10K. Overall, logistically and from a travel vacation perspective, Charleston, South Carolina is super awesome. This race is also awesome. It's humbling. You just need to actually train for this 10K, because this is not a joke race to do for the first 5K of the race, but after that it's pretty smooth sailing. But yeah, I definitely got humbled. I will come back to this race with a vengeance. I'm gonna try to conquer this bridge and try to break 40 minutes in this particular run, as that seems to be the goal. Lose 1 minute and 9 seconds to, of course, my existing PR on this course. So I think I'm going to end the video here. If you guys have any questions or any suggestions, or if you've done the Cooper Bridge Run, tell me your thoughts on it. Let the comment section know what's up. And yeah, I'm leaving the video here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next one.